Hello, we're continuing video. Today we're going to take a look at the Evolution Cup, which is going to be available now for 1 week in Pokemon Go. This cup only allows you to use Pokemon that already evolved once and that can still evolve once. So something like a Vigoroth is available, but something like, for example, a Vullaby is not available because Vullaby didn't evolve yet. So it's going to be a very interesting meta. There are only a few Pokemon that are really allowed for this, like this, and it's going to be very interesting. Let's take a look at the meta first. Taking a look now at the meta, you're going to see some Pokemon that you already see sometimes, at least in the normal Go Battle League or in different cups in the beginning here. As you're going to see the Vigoroth being the best Pokemon, that's going to be nearly on every team. That's going to be the best save swap in this meta. And just in general, this Pokemon going to be amazing. It's also something that a lot of people already have. Just counter plus stab body slam is all that you really need here. Plus bulldoze is really nice in the current meta, because the current meta going to have a lot of poison type Pokemon as well. Here we see a lot of dragons as well, like Dragonair, the hakomo-o or the Swallows, which are all pretty nice. And Machoke is also pretty cool. If you have the Shadow version, it's also nice. If you have the Purified version, you can also run Return. Golbat going to be one of the best ones here, as you're going to be able to counter those fighting types, and there's not a lot that really can resist your moves. Dusclops being one of the bulkiest Pokemon that you can use. CDO, if you have one, is very nice. And also the Piloswine is actually really good, because Piloswine beats both the dragon types as well as all the poison types, which is really nice. Chansey, if you really want to annoy the opponents, again, going to be good as well here. But otherwise, you're going to see some Pokemon that still have some chance here. The first fairy that you can use would be Floette, which is kind of nice, but there are some other things that we can take a look at real quick and showcase real quick, because there's one Pokemon that's very low rated, which might be really cool. And this is Brionne. Brionne is the only Pokemon here that's going to have access to Charm, and Charm will be a key move, especially if you can see at the top meta, going to be mainly fighting types and dragon types here. So Brionne might be really good to play right now. So let's take a look at 6 teams actually, 5 normal teams, 1 shadow team, and let's take a look at that. The first team here are going to be a very simple, I guess. Like, it's just like the kind of meta stuff that you're going to see. We have Golbat in the lead, going to be able to, of course, destroy those fighting types like the Machoke that you can run in the back, or the hakomo-o. And we have a neutral Pokemon as a save swap, which is going to be the Vigoroth, which can also bait out potential fighters. But yeah, it's just a very standard and common team. Vigoroth save swap is something that beats fighting types in the lead, with something that might not want to face fighting types in the back, will be something that you're going to face a ton of times. What you can also use in the back, by the way, would be also like other dragons like Swallows or whatever. Like, those all work out as well. It's just like trying to use the most common Pokemon and the best Pokemon to your advantage and trying to win with this. But yeah, this team is also pretty achievable, I guess, if you run Swallows in the back. hakomo-o is a little bit tricky to get for a lot of people. I also don't really have a lot of spawns for the pre-evolution. And then the Machoke might be a little bit expensive for some people, but maybe you purify one, maybe you have one lucky traded, I'm not sure. But if you have, for example, a Hundo lucky traded, you can still use it in this cup and then evolve it later to a Machamp, and you should be also pretty happy with that. The second team here going to be basically standard team again. We're going to have a poison type in the lead. You could also run, of course, the Golbat again in the lead here, but we have the 2 Nidos, which are both fine. The Nido we know will be able to do some more fast move damage, as it has access to Poison Jab, while the Nido Rena will be a little bit more bulky and has access to Poison Fang, which is also pretty nice. So whatever you have would be fine here. We have as a save swap the Dragonair. Dragonair can also be, of course, Shadow, but also now has access to Body Slam. What this means is you have now access to the Awkward Tail and Body Slam, which gives you a very nice fast coverage for this Pokemon. So no matter what really wants to come in there, they're going to get hit by something that they don't really like most of the times. And as I already said prior, there is a kind of lack of fairy types in this meta. Other than if you have an XL Floette, like I have actually, so I can use it. There is not a lot of fairy types available right now, and this will be a very nice team for this one. Also, for example, what I also said before, the Brionne, which is going to have Charm, does not resist Dragon Breath, so the matchup itself will not be as clear. which also might be a little bit better for the Dragonair. But yeah, it's going to be it for the second team. Let's go into the third one. The third team here, going to be a team that you can run however you want to run here. I just put last second in here the Vigoroth. You don't really have to use the Vigoroth here. I thought first that you might want to use the Celio as a safe swap and the Piloswine in the back with one of the ghost types in the lead there. But you can also use the Vigoroth as a safe swap if you don't have this. So this would be a little bit of a cheaper alternative if you only have one of the Pokemon. But then you have a ghost type in the lead here. You can either run the Haunter, which is going to now have access to Ice Punch, which is going to be interesting in this meta as you have a lot of Pokemon that are weak to it. But also you're going to have the Dusclops there, which is going to be a little bit more expensive to build. And also has access to Ice Punch, but I'm actually not sure if I would really run it. I think Return might be a little bit cooler because you're going to be able to hit those other Vigoroth a little bit harder, which would flip up some matchups. But yeah, this is going to be also a very fun team. It's a little bit more anti-meta. Piloswine is actually kind of cool in this meta. Like, talking a little bit more about Piloswine. Piloswine's typing will be able to resist the poison typing as well. So you're going to be able to wall poison and also the dragon types with this Pokemon, which will be very interesting, and having access to Avalanche and Powder Snow will do a ton of damage to most Pokemon, so this thing might be a really cool sweeper, especially if you have a shield advantage. This thing basically is not stoppable in the current meta. The fact that I'm talking about metaing here is going to be something weird, to be honest. Yeah, this Pokemon is very interesting that this is even like available for this cup. Yeah, it's usually something that you would never really want to play, but this time around there are not a lot of steel types, and steel types like Metang will be able to actually destroy kind of the meta. You have a meta based around dragon types and poison types, so having a steel types might be very nice. A different option would be a Lairon as well if you have one of those, but for this team it would be a little bit too weak to fighting types, as we have the Vigoroth as a safe swap again, and we have of course a dragon in the back there with the Dragonair. You can use Wireless in the back as well. You can use basically any kind of dragon. It's just the normal dragon and steel core there. And yeah, this is going to be very nice if you can build it, if you want to build it, but Metang might actually have some play for the first time ever, really, which is kind of hilarious. Like, look at this thing, it just floats around. The second to last team here, we're going to have the Piloswine in the lead, the Vigoroth as a safe swap, and also the Brionne in the back. This could be a little bit too weak against something like a fighting type lead, but I don't think we're going to see as many of them anyway, so you should be fine. With this team, you're going to try to have a counter for poison types in the lead here. Poison types are pretty common, so you kind of want to have something that really beats it, and of course the Piloswine with the ground typing will be able to do this. And also, you're going to be able to bait them out with the Vigoroth as a safe swap. Because Vigoroth has access to Bulldoze, you still have something to hit them super effective with, so you should be pretty fine with this. And of course, at the end of the day, we have in the back the Brionne, which is going to be able to counter those fighting type users, like, yeah, I don't know, like every fighting type Pokemon there with each charm. Gonna be pretty decent in this meta. Very interesting how this will turn out. What you can also do is, if you have an XL Floette, you could use something like the Brionne as a safe swap and then have the XL Floette in the back, trying to bait out a potential answer for fairy types with that. Or you can use Togetic as a safe swap as well, which has access to extra sensory, which would be also kind of a poison type check that might be something even better than the Vigoroth, because it makes you less weak to fighting types. But yeah, this would be something for Brionne, which is the only charm user in this meta. The final team here going to be, of course, a team that you can just run with only Shadow Pokemon, but it's also going to be as viable without any Shadow Pokemon, to be honest. We're going to have a team that's pretty similar to the first ones as well. We're going to have a Dragon in the lead here, which will be the Dragonair, which you can use as a Shadow version, but you can also just use the normal version, or you can use any other kind of Dragon type there. And then we're going to have the safe swap of the Golbat, which is going to be also able to deal with some ghost types if you're going to get them into you. And then you have the other poison types in the back there. You can either run, like, actually basically need every poison type that's already available here. But we have the NiRiain and the Nidorina and the Nidorino, so both of them are pretty much fine there. And it's going to be a pretty simple team. There's not a lot to it, to be honest. Kind of weak, of course, against steel types, but as said prior, there are not a lot of them, like Aggron, the pre-evolution of Aggron, and also the Metang would be good, the Lairon. So like those would be like a core breaker for this team, but when do you even face them? And also the Leiron would be weak to the awkward tail of your lead, so I don't even think they would win the lead match up there. So it's not really an issue, but yeah, that's going to be it for the video. This cup going to be interesting. Definitely glad that the Great League meta-ish is back again, but we will see how this cup going to go. It's more like a meme cup, to be honest. I don't think it's going to be too good. But still, I'm happy that we have it back. And yeah, that's going to be it for the video. Thanks for watching. See you next one. Have a great rest of your day. Bye.